the biggest problem that we're solving for organizations are organizations that say, hey, we've been doing this the same way for a long time. Our accounting and our finance back office, we've been doing it the same way. We know there's a better way. So we're able to come in, make recommendations, implement new solutions for them, and then actively maintain them. We become their back office accounting and finance department for them.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Chad Riley. He's the CEO at Citygate Accounting. Chad, welcome to the show.
Hey Kelsey, thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you. So Chad, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I live in Orlando, Florida, married with 4 kids. The oldest is 5. So we have a busy household here, and I run Citygate Accounting in my spare time.
4 under 5. Yeah, a lot of spare time, huh?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So tell me more about Citygate Accounting.
Yeah, so Citygate Accounting, we actually were birthed from and still are associated with a CPA firm that's based out of Michigan called Nienhuis Financial Group. So Nienhuis Financial Group's been around since 1995, and over the years had continued to see an increased demand for remote accounting advisory service.
Okay.
And then COVID hit, and it was like everybody needed remote accounting advisory service.
Yeah.
At that time, I was actually using Nienhuis Financial Group. I was a CFO of an organization in Texas and using Nienhuis to close my month-end books. And they eventually came back around and said, hey, we would love if you would come and join our team, kick off a remote accounting advisory group. And that's now I'm here, and we now it's called Citygate Accounting, and we're hitting the ground running and really having fun.
That's fantastic. And so it sounds like, in a space where COVID may have really been, a deteriorating factor in companies, it really was able to take Citygate to that next level. Yeah,
definitely. I think it was a lot of the need was there, and the desire there. They were hearing from clients like, "Hey, to be able to do this remote," but it really forced it through. So it was great for us.
That's really interesting. So talk to me a little bit about some of the challenges that people may have before they start working with Citygate Accounting.
So we kind of see it's all over the map. I'd say that our the biggest problem that we're solving for organizations are organizations that say, hey, we've been doing this the same way for a long time. Our accounting and our finance back office, we've been doing it the same way. We know there's a better way. Mm-hmm. And either they don't know what that better way is, or even sometimes they do know a better solution. They're just not able to implement it. Mm-hmm. So we're able to come in, make recommendations, implement new solutions for them, and then actively maintain them. We become their back office accounting and finance department for them.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. So it sounds like you're able to provide a few extra layers of support than other, companies, other accounting firms may not be able to provide.
Yeah, I'd say our 3 uniques, the 3 things that differentiate Citygate Accounting from another outsourced accounting firm. So our biggest competition really is an in-house accountant or an in-house accounting team. Okay. But for us, what sets us apart from other accounting firms that are doing a similar accounting advisory service is our tech expertise. So we stay on top of the technological trends. We have people on our team, our director of onboarding and technology, that really specializes in knowing what the technology solutions are that are out there and how they can really fit in well with the organization. So anytime we're looking at implementing a technology, we want to make sure that the people in the process connect with the right technology. So, for example, we had it was a licensed professional counselor that was like, hey, I implemented this technology. It should be working great. It's not working for me. And we can go in and say, yeah, you can have a great technology, but if you don't have the process in place for the people, it's not going to be helpful. And I'm sure you can think of examples too in your own life, right?
Yeah. Oof, I don't know about that. For better or for worse, right?
Yeah.
So Okay, go ahead.
So that's one. So take expertise, the humanity. And so I think our team is super unique. And when I say humanity in accounting, people are usually like, wait, what are you talking about here? Yeah. But our team care more about the people than they do the numbers. And we really care a lot about numbers. And so we set ourselves apart, and that comes across in the communication that we have with people. Something simple like one of our clients unfortunately had a death in the family, and for us to send a nice email, a nice note, and even contribute to the family members' little fun is something that it just brings you close together and just helps display that humanity. You're not getting that from accounting firms. And the last thing is consistency. Okay. And so even more so, when I mention the consistency as our differentiator, people say that's what accounting is. It's maintaining consistency. But our firm, unlike a lot of CPA firms, they will do tax, they will do audit, they'll do accounting advisory, they'll do consulting. Mm-hmm. We have our specific lane. We only do remote accounting advisory services. Okay. So that means come April, we will still answer your emails. So we're not going to get bogged down and busy. And we basically have this lane where we're able to be that outsourced back office accounting and finance solution.
Yeah. And why do you think that's so important?
Well, really, it's the relationship with the client. So the client on our end, you can make a lot of money doing taxes. So most firms say we're going to bury ourselves for a while doing taxes. And what we've decided is to segregate ourselves from that, partner with tax partners so we can still handle that incoming flux. But it's that consistency level. We have, you might call on a Friday night and say, hey, there's this thing that happened and or Friday evening. We might not answer at night, but a Friday at 4:00 and say, this thing has to be done. We want to be able to say, yes, we can do that. Just like somebody in-house that would be able to say, yeah, you know what? I was going to go home now, but I can take the time and get this taken care of for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So as a remote accounting, advisory firm, talk to me a little bit about, because you mentioned there being that licensed professional counselor who's having some issues. Talk to me a little bit about who your ideal client or like the trends that you see Citygate Accounting tending to work with more.
Yep. So in general, we serve professional services, small businesses, generally from about $1 million in revenue to about 15 million in revenue. And we also serve a lot of nonprofits, and within that, some churches as well. So typically what we see, even with the nonprofits, anywhere from $1 million to 15 million in revenue, and anywhere typically below 25 employees. So anything smaller than that, typically, a lot of times, the owners are able to handle that type of volume on their own. And then above that is kind of a different beast. So that's our niche there. Okay. But I think more importantly, it really goes back to, is the leader of the organization ready or interested in taking themselves and setting in place systems that are going to work for them now and then also allow them to grow and scale? Yeah. Yeah. I think of a pretty well-known, if they're in each region, nonprofit that you probably know the name of, and talking with them, the first meeting, I'm like, this is going to be great. We are going to totally change not only the organization, we're going to change the life of this CEO, because he's not going to have to do any of this stuff anymore. And so really the work-life balance, we can transform his entire life. Yeah. Second meeting, I'm listening to him talk, and I'm saying he's not ready to make any of these changes. He wants to stick with the process that's been in place for the past 20 years. So I actually paused this in the middle of the conversation and said, I actually don't think we're going to be a great solution for you. I'm sorry, because like for one example, for the credit card policy, he wanted his staff to come to him for him to unlock a safe and to hand a credit card over to them. And so we know like the staff's not going to like that. That's not an efficient process. It's just not going to work to scale and grow. And so and for him, it was a point of pride that he had that internal control in place. So that's just one example where I said, you know what, this actually isn't going to be a good fit for you. We're not the team that's going to be able to help you. Yeah, that's interesting. It's unfortunate, but it sounds like you're able to provide a lot of, outside of even just accounting, advisory. It sounds like you also are looking and taking a different look at like the structure of companies as well. Like you just gave the example of the CEO and kind of like analyzing that. It sounds like, you're able to do more than just accounting advisory. Yeah. So our main lane and really our primary focus is accounting advisory, but our purpose is to help businesses succeed and to create a better work-life balance for the people that we're working with. Yeah. And a lot of times when we're looking at the people and the process and the technology and how those are all ingrained, it is going to impact staff in ways that they might not have expected. We have another nonprofit church. They had several people with card spending ability. They had credit cards. And so doing expense reports was a huge pain in the neck for them. And we were able to roll out a solution that's called Divvy. It's a technology. We did the training and basically literally got a standing ovation in the boardroom because it's just such an easy tool for them to use.
Yeah.
So with pieces like that, now they're able, instead of spending their time either scrolling through or trying to find their receipts or spending time in the day, they can actually focus on the work that matters most, because we all know accounting and finance is absolutely necessary, but it's not really, for most organizations, it's not the core purpose of what they're doing. So let us do that and let you focus on what matters most.
What would you say one of the biggest misconceptions, either about, the space that you're in, either, about remote accounting advisory, what would you say, like I said, one of the biggest misconceptions is?
Yeah. I think one is that you can't develop a relationship remotely with someone. And we've seen, you do have to have intentional steps in order to have that relationship there. But I think that's one of the misconceptions. And the second is kind of on the opposite side of that, is that you need to have a relationship with your accounting and finance professionals, right? So most people, there's kind of a joke with accountants. So if you go to a party or a dinner party and someone says, "Hey, what do you do?" And you say, "Oh, I'm an accountant," that's going to end the conversation right there. They're going to go and talk to somebody else. But the reality is a lot of what we're doing is behind the scenes. And so to be able to segment that and give it to somebody that's what they specialize in can actually be a huge benefit for organizations. It's one less distraction.
Yeah.
I like to say I love managing people. Managing people can be the best and the hardest thing to do, right? And so when you have an outsourced accounting type solution and you forget our birthday, we don't get upset like somebody else might that's in-house. And so it is kind of silly, but at the same time, there's illnesses that are involved and all kinds of different things that come into play when you're dealing with an in-house staff person. And we're able to pull that out because on my team, we get sick, we take time off, but we have baked in other people that can come in right behind and continue to the process seamlessly on behalf of the organization.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. And I think those are two really great misconceptions to, take a look at because one, so many businesses are, employee centric, person centered. And it's so important that I've heard over my podcast is hearing how important it is to, put the customer first, to take care of your employees and have those relationships. Because like you said, a lot of people don't necessarily understand the reach of, what you're able to do and like how person centric it is. So, like you said, it is a joke when someone says like, "Oh, you're an accountant," like conversation, like what questions do you kind of ask after that? Like,
right. Like, what's your favorite accounting software? Yeah. Where do you go from here?
That's really interesting. So Chad, if someone wanted to kind of start to work with you, they're in that, ideal customer profile that we talked about, they think it may be a good fit. How would they go about finding you and what would those first steps look like?
Yeah. So the best way to find us, you can go on our website at citygateaccounting.com. There's a contact us button. We're on social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So you can always contact through there. Nice. But our website's a great place to start. And we have, because we're so process driven, we basically have a process that we would follow. So we would do an introductory call, which we call our discovery call, and understand what your needs are. And based off of that, we've interacted with so many different companies. We can pretty much tell right away, are we going to be a good fit for you or are we not? And one of the great things about being in the accounting industry right now is the demand is so high and accountants are continuing to dwindle. So for us, we're able to be extra picky to say, is this going to be a great company for us to work with? Yeah. And are we going to be a great fit for them? And if the answer is no, we really don't want to take on that type of relationship and try to keep our brand strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that discovery call would be the first step. And then after that, we always do a follow-up meeting and say, based off of what we've heard from you, here are 3 different tiered packages that we think could fit. And then we'll recommend one of those packages for them as well. And then we have a director of onboarding and technology that would kick it off if we're going to go live. So
and kick it off, literally take it from there.
That's right.
Great. That's great. So Chad, if you wanted to leave our listeners with one piece of information, either, a piece of knowledge, information about either Citygate accounting or, about the remote accounting advisory space, what would you want to leave our listeners with?
Oh, goodness. I think for the remote accounting advisory space, it's continuing to grow, and it's definitely something worth considering. So even organizations that are out there that are saying this might not be a good fit for me, or I don't see how this could work, if it's not Citygate accounting, someone else, because I truly think, and the reason that I jumped from being the CFO of an organization into this space is I think outsourced accounting solutions are many times it's an unsung hero that allows organizations to focus on what matters most and remove one more layer of distraction. So even if you can't conceptualize how it might work for your specific organization, in some it doesn't. Mm-hmm. But for most it can. I think it could really be kind of a rocket boost for a lot of organizations, get you better internal controls, and really set you up for better success moving forward.
That's fantastic. That's great information and a great little tidbit to leave our listeners with. Chad, I think this has been an absolutely great interview. I really appreciated you having you on Business Ninjas today.
Thanks. Glad to be here.